Have you noticed how discussions about love tend to focus on the early days, first meetings, grand gestures, the quickening pulse of youth? Yet those of us who have lived through decades know a deeper bond, one that is less about fireworks and more about a quiet, abiding faith. At this stage in life, love takes on different shapes: steadfast presence, shared resilience, perhaps even a rekindled warmth that comes unexpectedly. Today, I want to reflect with you on what it means to have faith in love, not just as a feeling, but as a practice and conviction that continues to enrich our lives through the years. Let's begin by recognizing the breadth of love we encounter now. Love isn't just romantic excitement or the flutter of new passion. In fact, for many of us, real love is the commitment to keep showing up, to keep caring, even as circumstances shift. You might think of a long-time partner whose habits are as familiar as your own, or a friend who's weathered storms at your side. This sturdy love isn't about spectacle, it's about the trust built over countless ordinary days. Faith in this kind of love is not blind optimism, it's the confidence, earned over many seasons, that mutual care survives change. Reflect for a moment. Are there connections in your life that have outlasted hardship, disappointment, or even silence? What allowed those bonds to endure? Sometimes it's a mutual decision to choose each other again and again, even as the world changes around us. That leads to our first insight. Faith in love is an intentional practice. It does not mean ignoring faults or glossing over pain. Rather, it's the quiet promise, often unspoken, that you will witness and cherish someone, even on the days when affection is muffled by worry or routine. This can apply to partners, lifelong friends, children, or even the community you choose. The action step here is to tend your relationships like a well-loved garden. Occasional weeding, steady watering, and the patience to wait for new growth, even after cold seasons. As many of us have learned, loving someone deeply sometimes means forgiving them many times. Not because we approve of every choice, but because we understand that no one is perfect, including ourselves. When we forgive, we are really practicing faith in love's ability to heal and restore trust over time. Picture two ways to respond to a hurtful comment from a loved one. One path leads to retelling the injury, feeding resentment, and letting distance creep in. The other path is shaped by a willingness to discuss your pain, forgive, or at least begin to try, and see whether the relationship mends or shifts in a healthy way. Through such choices, we keep love alive, even when it limps. If you find yourself carrying an old grudge, consider whether it's serving you or standing in the way of joy. Sometimes the act of letting go, where possible, is a gift you give both to yourself and to the person you care about. Another lesson life teaches is this: faith in love requires flexibility. People grow, sometimes in ways we wouldn't have guessed or even preferred. Children become adults with ideas you never dreamed of. Partners shift their interests. Friends move, get caught up in family, or develop new circles. Love asks us to release rigid expectations and accept each other's evolution without taking it as a personal loss. This isn't always easy, yet when we give loved ones the freedom to change and allow ourselves that same room, we foster a deeper trust, a sense that love can stretch rather than break. How might this look in your own life right now? Is there someone you could support in their new direction? Whether that means listening to a different political view, encouraging a late-in-life passion, or simply letting them be who they are instead of who you hoped they'd be. Offering acceptance doesn't mean you always agree. It's more about honoring the bond above the difference. At the heart of faith in love is a willingness to be vulnerable, no matter how many years have passed or disappointments have come. I think of the courage it takes to reach out to tell a friend you miss them, or to open up about a need. We might have been taught to keep a stiff upper lip, especially in tough times. But as we mature, we understand that strength often means letting others see us as we are. Each time you risk sharing your story or ask for a companion's hand in a season of sorrow, you're affirming your faith that love will answer, if not in the way you expect, then perhaps in a way you need. I invite you to think back. When have you taken that leap with someone in your life? Did it strengthen the cord between you, or teach you something important even if the response wasn't what you hoped? Consider whether there's a moment now to reach out, even in a small way, a letter, a call, an honest conversation. Let's take a quick moment. If you get value from what we have presented, please like and subscribe to help us grow our channel, Ageless Intuition. Faith in love is also about seeing everyday acts as deeply meaningful. Sometimes we wait for those grand declarations, overlooking the simple kindnesses, the cup of tea set beside your chair, the check-in call from someone you haven't heard from in a while. Decades of life show us that love is built from these small tokens, not just the big gestures. When you pay attention to these moments, you invite gratitude and joy into your daily experience. A practice you might try: keep a small notebook or even a folded sheet of paper and jot down the instances, big or small, where love shows itself around you. This is not about ignoring challenges, but about balancing them with reminders of affection and care that buoy us through difficult times. As our lives change, so do our roles. We may become caregivers for a partner, a friend, or even ourselves. Faith in love sometimes means accepting help as much as offering it. Receiving can feel vulnerable, a reversal of the independence we felt in younger years. Yet accepting support isn't weakness. It's part of the continued conversation of love between giving and receiving. Allowing others to help, whether that's driving you to an appointment or listening when you need to vent, is an act of trust and a way of honoring the web of care that connects us. Perhaps think gently on this. Are there ways you could welcome support from others without guilt or apology? And might there be small ways you can encourage that spirit in your relationships, inviting a balance of mutual care rather than one-way giving? Our faith in love, too, is tested by loss, bereavements, changes in health, endings we didn't expect. Some believe faith in love means pretending everything is always fine, but real faith is the knowledge that while love doesn't shield us from pain, it doesn't vanish with it either. The bonds we've built, the memories and lessons can become a sustaining force, even as we grieve. In grief, we often find a surprising tenderness, a letter from an old friend, a shared memory, the continuing ripple of a loved one's influence. When facing loss, it can help to remember love doesn't stop with absence. Light a candle, share stories, or revisit photos, not to stay only in the past, but as a way to appreciate the legacy of affection that continues to shape today. Even small rituals can offer comfort and connection, keeping faith in love as a thread running through every season. And finally, faith in love flourishes in community. At every stage of life, we need others to remind us of who we are, to laugh with, to share hopes both big and small. Sometimes building or joining a community looks like reaching out to neighbors, attending a book group, or supporting a cause you believe in. As older adults, we hold wisdom that is invaluable to others. Sharing your stories, your care, and your presence can make all the difference, not just for you, but for someone else walking a lonely road. If you're searching for new connections, take the gentle risk of joining a group, volunteering, or simply inviting someone for coffee. The web of shared understanding you help create can turn acquaintances into lifelong friends. And if you're already part of a cherished circle, consider ways to deepen those ties, perhaps by sharing more of yourself or encouraging others to do so too. Let's pause to reflect. Which of these insights speaks to your journey right now? Maybe you have a moment when faith in love was challenged, or a story about how kindness made a difference in your day. I'd love for you to share in the comments, not just for me to read, but to create a community where wisdom and experience lift each other up. If you appreciated this exploration, please like and subscribe to help us grow our channel, Ageless Intuition. A lifetime of experience gifts you a unique understanding of love, its endurance, its power to heal, and its gentle capacity to surprise us. Faith in love is less about certainty and more about presence, patience, and the willingness to see love's handiwork in unexpected places. By choosing to nurture connection, extend forgiveness, accept change, and remain open to both giving and receiving, we deepen our own sense of purpose and joy. Let's keep this conversation alive. Your thoughts, stories, and questions are welcome here. Together we can explore how faith in love continues to enrich our lives in all its forms. Thanks for watching. Tap that like button and subscribe if this brought you joy today. We're growing thanks to wonderful folks like you. Wishing you a peaceful day wrapped in warmth and love.